Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of October 27th, 2024. I had an absolutely wonderful time at the OPA retreat in Park City, Utah. OPA is the Organization for Professional Astrology, and I am a board member, and I presented my Moon Mastery program for a group of just spectacular ladies. Shout out to my Astro sisters and the Astro stars who joined me. We just had so much fellowship and everything about it is wonderful. I could just talk for hours about how heart-filling it was to be at this event. I feel just so blessed to have had the opportunity. Now, if you're an astrology enthusiast or a professional astrologer, I really recommend that you attend an astrology conference at some time. Put it on your bucket list. I am presenting on secondary progressions at the NORWAC Astrology Conference. This happens every Memorial Day weekend in Seattle, Washington. And next year, in 2025, it will be from May 22nd to May 26th. If you think you want to go, get your ticket and your hotel reservation ASAP, definitely before January, because it sells out every year. It's fantastic. It's about 400 people, and there is so much fellowship. And, the dance floor is lit on Saturday night. The UAC Conference, which is the biggest astrology conference in the world, it is going to be in Chicago from September 2nd through September 9th. Mark your calendars for that. There's no way to sign up for UAC yet. It's too early. It's, 2 years from now. But for NORWAC, you go to norwac.net to register, to get your ticket, and book your hotel room ASAP. Today, there is the Scorpio New Moon Workshop. There's still time to sign up. If you hear this in time, it will be at noon Pacific time. If you miss it, you can get the recording. I will go deep into the Scorpio New Moon, as well as do hot takes on people's natal charts. And even if you can't make it live, it is rewarding to watch afterwards. And you can learn astrology techniques, as well as deeply go into the lunation cycle. Also today, my class for Kepler College about the transits. It's a 5-week course to take your astrology knowledge to the next level. So if you have a solid understanding of the natal chart and want to learn how to forecast upcoming events, this is the class for you. You can also go back in the past and see how things evolved in your life based on the transits. So there's links in the show notes for all of these things. Next, let's look at some astrology in action. The full moon of the solar eclipse in Libra cycle was on October 17th, where the sun was at 24 Libra and the moon was at 24 Aries. It's the opposition in the axis of relationships. So you can think back to about what went on in your life. And the moon was conjunct Chiron. I was at the OPA astrology event, and my roommate and I just had this deeply healing conversation about hurts that we had in some of our relationships. And these were friendships, and really had a deep conversation about it that was healing for both of us in different ways. So that was it was the night of the full moon. It was so on point. Now, Israel has a 23-degree Libra rising ascendant. So you can think about how the sun was on their rising side And the sun spotlights things. And then the moon was at their descendant. So the ascendant is the country and its people. The descendant is their partners as well as their open enemies. And Israel found and assassinated the head of Hamas, who orchestrated the October 7th attack. And so that was their big event. And I talked about, what was it going to mean? We had this full moon and then Venus, which rules Libra. So Venus stands in for Israel at that last anaretic degree of Scorpio, the country on the warpath, and then killing the head of Hamas. Then Venus goes into Sagittarius, coming from the depths of deep water into the fire, that mutable fire, a sign of celebration, because their number one open enemy is no longer there. And now their partner, the United States, is pressuring them to come to end this horrific war that's been going on for over a year. Venus in Sagittarius is moving towards a square with Saturn in Pisces. Stop the suppression, the oppression, the hardship of the Piscean people of Gaza. It's just an unbelievable suffering, Saturn in Pisces. Also, a couple of days later, Hezbollah launched an attack and hit Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the head of Israel's vacation house. And on the day, it was the 19th, so a couple of days after the full moon, Mars, which attacks, was at 23 Cancer, conjunct Israel's midheaven at 25 Cancer. And the midheaven in mundane astrology, the astrology of worldly events, stands in for the president or the leader of a country, prime minister, president, king, queen, whoever, the leader of the executive branch of the country. And the 10th house is the whole organization of the executive branch of a country. So that 25 Cancer midheaven is currently Benjamin Netanyahu. And Israel's sun is at 23 degrees of Taurus in their 8th house. So the sun is also a figure of the leader. So Mars attacks, and Mars transits come in early often. But Mars and Cancer within 2 degrees of the midheaven of the country and sextiling their sun, there was an attempted assassination on the leader. Now, Mars and Cancer, Mars is in its detriment in Cancer, where it can act in extreme ways as well as ineffective ways. And we're seeing just this mass destruction that's gone on in Lebanon as part of this war as well. Feels very Mars and Cancer. It doesn't feel, targeted like a Scorpio, Mars and Scorpio, where it's at home would do. Mars and Scorpio is the sniper that takes out just the person they're going after without this collateral damage of so many other people being impacted by it. So anyway, this is the first of 3 times Mars is going to in Cancer. It's going to make this same pattern with the midheaven of Israel, because Mars is going to go retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo, 2 degrees past the moon of Israel, which rules the people, and then go retrograde from December 6th to February 23rd back to 17 Cancer, and then go back again direct, treading over this old ground. So there's going to be this 3-part story where events are going to have multiple acts related to this. And it's going to be very public in regards to Israel, because their midheaven is going to get 3 hits. And the midheaven rules the leader, and it's the most public point in the chart, whether we're looking at a country, a person, or a corporation. And Netanyahu may feel like he is riding high with the military successes, but the horrors of this war that have been wrought, the International Court has a warrant out, I believe, for his arrest because of the humanitarian monstrous crisis. So we'll see what happens when Mars retrograde hits the midheaven of Israel again. He might have some consequences for actions that he has taken. We shall see what happens. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birthdate book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is deliverance, and there are 3 things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Mars in Cancer is the star of the show, and Mars co-rules Scorpio. So now that we are in Scorpio season, the sun, which spotlights things, it's the ruler, it's the leader, it's our ego, it's the one, is reporting into Mars in Cancer. And Mars is in detriment in this sign. It's a water sign, which is feeling, nurturing, and emotional. The moon rules Cancer, and the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. In addition to our conscious mind, the sun rules the leaders of the country. And the moon rules our emotions as well as the people of a country. And Mars is about taking action. And you can think about how the sun is reporting into Mars, which is reporting into the moon, which changes signs every 2.5 days. So this fluctuating energy is impacting both the leaders and the people. And it's really kind of unstable energy till November 4th, the day before the election, when Mars moves into the sign of Leo. So just keep in mind that things are so intensely emotional, especially for Americans right now with an election coming. And Mars, the planet of action, drive, assertion. Mars fights, Mars strives, Mars achieves. Is separating from a sextile, which is an aspect of opportunity, to Uranus in Taurus, both at 26 degrees. And Uranus is conjunct Algol, this fixed star that ancient societies all ascribe this fixed star to this very negative energy. It's associated with tragedies where lots of people are impacted. Also, the Medusa mythology or Lilith mythology. So women who have been punished for being attacked like Medusa or will not be subservient like Lilith. In this election cycle, we've got the childless cat lady who's like a Lilith archetype, as well as some Christian nationalist pastors have been demonizing Kamala Harris, calling her a Jezebel. So there's all this energy about women who won't be subservient being demonized. And with Uranus on Algol, we are repeatedly seeing catastrophic destruction from climate change, specifically lots of hurricanes as well as other events. And Uranus is going to continue to be off and on Algol for another year or so. Currently, as I'm recording this early on October 22nd, so 2 days before Mars sextile Uranus perfects, Cuba is in a catastrophic crisis because of Hurricane Oscar. And Cancer is a water sign, and Taurus is an earth sign, so we can think about seeing things like landslides. Also, Cancer rules the home, family, and foundations. And so in mundane astrology, you can think about the nation being a Cancer symbology, the family, the people who belong to a nation. And Cancer is a protective sign. So Mars and Cancer being aggressive to protect your country. So you may throughout the world be seeing shocking aggression that has a nationalistic bent. Cancer is a sign of the mother. Your mom could be going bananas on you about something, or you're fighting with your mom and you're going bananas about something that comes up shockingly and unexpected. That's Uranus. Now, Uranus also rules reversals. And as I said, Mars competes. So will there be some shocking spin around and reversal related to the election? So those are some of the things that may have already happened, but Mars is still carrying that Uranian energy that it picked up as it moves to trine Neptune just a degree away at 27 degrees. And that's going to be happening tomorrow. So Mars in Cancer trine Neptune in Pisces, that is smooth, easy flowing energy of taking actions to go after your dreams. Neptune rules the dream, and being very creative about it could be with Mars in Cancer. You can think about that. You may get an amazing idea, and your radiant idea is like coming really fast. And then Neptune, oh, you get the beautiful idea. You got to write it right down. Now, this could also be like flooding, just the banks of a river spilling over into a town. It can be fighting on the ocean. You may watch a movie where two people are fighting on the ocean. I'm seeing people on surfboards doing some kind of martial arts on surfboards, or both standing on surfboards. Or you're feeling so overly emotional about something and like coming up with these paranoid fantasies about how things could go so wrong. Now, Mars and Cancer trine Neptune could also be like, oh, honey, this is a sexy, sexy stranger who you met who swept you off your feet. But Mars and Cancer, his personality changes every couple days like the weather. And it brings you into she brings you into a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down upheaval. It's like oceanic changes with that other person's moods have you spinning round, round, baby, round, round like a record player. Now, this also gives me, and on this day that Mars is trine Neptune, this is on Monday, we also have Venus in Sag, square Saturn in Pisces. Now, the song that came to me when I started writing about Venus square Saturn was Jenny from the Block. And Jennifer Lopez was in a relationship with Sean Combs, who has been arrested for sex trafficking. There's all kinds of videos of him and his freak-off parties floating around there. For people who don't know who he is an A-list rapper and mogul who has a lot of famous friends who are very, very nervous about these tapes being exposed. But since Jennifer Lopez was his girlfriend, she could get caught up in this story. It may not happen right now, but this came to mind with Venus rules parties, women's, and Sagittarius can be like, you're just so overindulging. It's ridiculous, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is like go big or go home, bigger, bigger, bigger. And the song I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas. You should watch this video and think about the freak-offs, because it looks like everyone is having a great time. It's very sexual. They're drinking, and doing whatever in this video, but then the square Saturn in Pisces. Saturn brings reality into effect, and Pisces, this expansive fairy tale, you really see all the damage that has been done to people who got caught up in this kind of cycle with this Venus square Saturn. Venus met Saturn when they were both in Pisces. Now, this is a closing square, so we're seeing more and more about what devastation that comes from this absolute excessive pleasure-seeking and indulgence, especially when you have a Saturnian person like Sean Combs, who gets off punishing people or harming people or damaging people. And then as Mars separates from that trine to Neptune, where you may hear somebody who was damaged in one of these parties talking about how their life slid down the tubes after they were, involved in some kind of, orgy or something like that. And then Mars in Cancer opposes Pluto. And that's going to be next Sunday, and it's going to be at 29 degrees of Capricorn, a degree of crisis and decay. This can be about a structure collapsing, infrastructure. So Mars and Cancer, there's so much water, driving rain. Pluto and Capricorn, a massive structure collapses that impacts lots of people. Like it could be a dam having some kind of break. It could be a volcano erupting. You can think about Mars and Cancer as like lava imagery. And the 29th degree is a degree of crisis and decay that holds all the energy of the sign. Now, this can be somebody feeling under so much emotional pressure that they just have like a breakdown as well, that it becomes visible. Now, many people are going to have the mental breakdowns over what's going on in the election, and I encourage you to try as much as you can to get some detachment from the emotions about what's going on. Capricorn rules governments. Pluto is about power. Now, we're waiting to see what Israel's going to do in terms of striking back at Iran for the last attack. And so that could be something that is going on during this week. We may find out exactly what the attack plan is, but there's all this anticipation to see what it's going to be. We could see secrets about government leaders exposed with Mars opposite Pluto, which have to do with attacks or sex. Mars rules sex. CEOs as well could be revealed, more about celebrities during this time. The big thing is really important for each of us to manage our emotions, because Pluto's very subconscious and Mars has some subconscious energy as well. So acting out of subconscious fears about how we have a lack of control can just be really unhelpful. And you can come to the workshop today or review it, because I'm going to be talking about how to manage this intense energy. Yes, I will. Okay. Now, it's called Deliverance because Deliverance was a book by a man named James Dickey that was turned into a movie in about 1972 with Burt Reynolds, John Voight, Ned Beatty, all big stars of that time. And it's an incredible book. I encourage you, if this topic interests you, to read it. It's a great book. It's a terrifying movie. It's a horror movie. We're in Scorpio season. And in this story, the men are Atlanta businessmen who go to a Georgia river before it's going to be dammed up. So they want to enjoy camping and canoeing on this river. They think they're going to have a great time. Well, it's a descent into hell. There are all these local, it's like this backwoods community where it's like you start hearing Deliverance. The theme song is da-da-da-na-na-na-na-na-na. And there's these kids playing the banjo, and they are clearly have chromosomal problems, probably from incest. And you can see that just by looking at them. But it's just this really big descent into hell where the locals start seeing them as prey. Mars in Cancer attacks. These people are trespassing in their minds on their home and family land. And this is based on Joseph Conrad's book, Heart of Darkness, which is the themes of this, about how there's so little difference between civilized and uncivilized people, or the civilized and the savage people. It's a commentary on colonialism. But anyway, it's a great movie to see these themes of Mars, sextile Uranus. Oh, we're excited. We're going on this trip down the river. Mars trines Neptune. But here comes opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. And we are all going to the underworld. It is really good, but terrifying and not for the faint of heart. There is some really dark stuff that goes on in that movie, but I don't want to spoil it. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we're going to have a new moon at 9 Scorpio. This is a tough one because Mars opposite Pluto is in effect at the new moon. So it's intense. Mars and Pluto co-rule Scorpio, and Pluto's a higher octave of Mars. Be aware that there's a lot of intensity. It's going to be hanging over the whole moon cycle. And I think that we're going to have the election, and it looks like we know who won. I've predicted Kamala. And then there's going to be something where there are these recounts and all kinds of stuff, or court cases where we're not going to know who won for a while. I think the court cases have to do something with voter disenfranchisement because of these hurricanes, which have made it difficult for people to get to the polls. We shall see if that has anything to do with it. This is a fated time. It's very karmic. 29 degrees is a karmic degree of crisis and decay. So whatever you can do to recognize the serenity player is what I recommend. What you can control and what you can't, and know the difference. You can control your own actions, but not anyone else's. The tarot card is the 5 of Cups. It's a grief card. And what you see is a person with this Grim Reaper with 3 cups spilled in front of them and 2 cups spilled behind. Are you going to grieve over those 3 that have been spilled? Or are you going to think about, look, and be grateful for the 2 you have behind yourself? The Sabian symbol is a fellowship supper reunites old comrades. So there may be stories about Russia or China, any other communist country getting together with old friends. That'll be interesting to see how that shows up. That's one of the things. Renewing or reviewing the past. You can think about election parties. People in the U.S. are going to come get together to watch the results come in. This really relates to me to Sean Combs and his freak-offs and seeing people come surface around this. Scorpio is a intense water sign, and there's going to be a lot of unearthing about themes around conspiracies, sexuality, people getting together to do things they don't want people to know about, people examining their shadows and recognizing the things that they'd rather disown about themselves. That's a very Scorpionic. It's piercing, but the ultimate goal for Scorpio energy is to bring transformative healing through uncomfortable situations. So this is a really great call for you to do some shadow work about how you react when you don't know exactly what's going on. Each new moon opens a lunar phase family, which is a 27-month cycle where the sun and the moon have hard aspects every 9 months. And there can be a story that unfolds in your life, and you can use these to set intentions. So on November 1st, which is Friday, we have the new moon at 9 Scorpio, where the sun and the moon are both at 9 Scorpio. 9 months later, we'll have a first quarter moon where the sun's in Leo, the moon's in Scorpio, both at 9 degrees on August 1st of 2025. 9 months after that, there'll be the full moon, sun in Taurus, moon in Scorpio, May 1st, 2026, at 11 degrees each of the respective signs. Last quarter moon, sun in Aquarius, moon in Scorpio, January 29th, 2027, both at 9 degrees. That's that last quarter moon. You can mark your calendar for these dates and pay attention to what happens 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. It's most likely there's going to be a story in your life if you have any planets or angles at 9 degrees of Scorpio up and give 4 degrees on either side. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights.
There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com.
The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury will enter Sagittarius from November 2nd through January 8th. Sagittarius is mutable fire. Mercury does not like to be in this sign. It's a sign of its detriment, where it's as far from home as it can be. Mercury is at home in Gemini and in detriment in the opposite side of Sagittarius. So you may be hearing a lot of exaggerating where the facts become a little murky. Gemini's just the facts, ma'am. Now, Mercury's reporting into Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury and Jupiter are in each signs of their detriment. So this is not good. This is like you can really make up and spin some fairy tales with this energy, which can be amazing for someone trying to write a fairy tale. But you may hear a lot of big fish stories. There'll be snappy conversations where people are putting their feet in their mouths, where you get your mouth going so fast. People, just a massive disinformation, conspiracy theories about probably what's going on with the election, exaggerations, people stating their beliefs as fact, especially when Mercury goes retrograde from November 25th through December 15th. Mark those dates. Don't make any big purchases. Be aware that what you say could boomerang back to you. So I would recommend watching how much you gossip around there. This could be recounting ballots. Mercury rules ballots. Yeah, recounting. I also wrote down the Reichstag fire. This is really interesting because Mars will be in Leo a few days after this, and I just wrote scream and shout and let it all out. The election goes on and on and on and on. And the song I Got a Feeling was playing in my head. So we'll see what happens. I Got a Feeling could be a success for the candidate I want to win. So I hope that's why it was playing in my head. But we shall see what happens. But we have to manage our energy as well as our mouths, I would recommend. On Sunday, the word of the day is critique. Be prepared for the silent treatment if you're too critical of a loved one. We start the day with the moon in Virgo, and it is in a square to Venus, which rules relationships, and opposite Saturn. So there can be emotional feelings of separation from loved ones. You could maybe try cracking a joke to lighten the mood. Or maybe you cracked a joke and that's why there's silence. So just be aware of trying not to be too Virgo critical. Shadow Virgo energy is very critical. Mercury and Scorpio will quincunx Jupiter and Gemini all on this day. So something could come out of left field that, like Scorpio, a thought or a communication that gets you in the bowels, that makes you feel like I heard something that shakes my belief in my mental processes, belief Jupiter, mental processes Gemini, or you hear the truth about a sibling or a neighbor. That could be something that happens. On Monday, the word of the day is overwhelm. We have a balsamic moon at 20 Virgo at 2 a.m. The balsamic moon is the last moon phase before the new moon, where the moon is releasing the last of her light, kind of just letting it go, spitting it out. And it's a time to rest over this next 3.5 days as much as you can. Lighten your schedule if you can. Virgo energy can get us very, very, very anxious. So really watch your anxious thoughts and try to calm yourself down with meditation or going on walks in nature, doing healthful things rather than harmful things to deal with this energy. This is the day Mars in Cancers trine Neptune and Pisces, both at 27 degrees. This is a lot of water. It could be emotional overwhelm, or it can be actually a deluge of water coming out of the sky somewhere in the United States. And I say that because Mars at 27 Cancer is quincunx the moon of the United States, the natal moon at 27 Aquarius. So just be mindful. I have recommended that people, no matter where you live, just kind of stock up just in case something comes unexpectedly where you can't get out for a few days or a week or something. And it's especially important for the United States because Venus in Sagittarius is square Saturn in Pisces, and they're both at 12 degrees of the respective signs. The United States is a Sagittarius rising. The rising sign is about the people, and it's at 12. So Venus is conjunct the ascendant of the United States. And with this, Venus in Sagittarius, I get like a warm breeze, or this is mutable fire. Square Saturn is causing a problem in Pisces. Warm air causing a problem with rain or something like that could be possible. Now, this maybe is not about weather at all. Maybe this is about the reality of the freak-off parties coming to light, where we see video of something. Yeah, and I think I talked about this earlier. This is so long, but the misery left behind, and somebody may be talking about how their life has been overwhelming since they went to one of these parties and telling their story. The moon will enter Libra at 9:29 a.m. Libra is an air sign. Air, my partner is its tagline, and it's about bringing more balance. So what can you do? Can you use your breath to bring more balance into your life? This is great for socializing or having a nice, light conversation with someone. On Tuesday, the word of the day is bang. The sun in Scorpio is quincunx the north node in Aries. So the sun in Scorpio, and Joe Biden's a Scorpio, quincunx the north node in Aries, and the moon's in Libra, and the United States has a Libra midheaven. So I wonder if we're going to hear a speech from Joe Biden about these wars going on around the world. That's wow, it's like a bang, because the south node is conjunct the moon on this day. So there can also be some kind of disappointment in a relationship, or maybe disappointing news is shared by the president about something, or the executive branch about something. But I wrote down vomit on a dress. Libra rules fashion, and with the south node in Libra, the south node brings things up or spits things out. On Wednesday, the word of the day is deluge. Mercury and Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus, both at 25 degrees. A lot of water and wind. Water, Scorpio, wind, Mercury, causing problems from climate change. It can be a flood of some type, and it can be a flood of information coming out, being spit out. On Thursday, the word of the day is sleepy. The moon enters Scorpio at 10:29 a.m. Pacific time. Scorpio is deep, intense water, and we recognize we're sleepy because this is a day Mercury in Scorpio, Mercury rules our thought processes and our communication, is trine Neptune in Pisces. They're both at 27 degrees. You may realize how tired you are, or how hungover. Some people are going to be realizing how hungover they are. I wrote down, here comes the rain again. So that could be like tears. You may find yourself really emotional. It's great to get extra rest. We're in the balsamic phase of the moon. On Friday, the word of the day is blink. This is the day of the new moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio at 5:47 a.m. Pacific time. New moons are times to set intentions. You can come to the workshop today. grab the replay if you missed it. But make sure you set intentions of a scorpionic nature you can think about things like your shared resources. So you can also, Scorpio rules death and rebirth. You can think about your will or updating it or something like that, or thinking about where you're leaving your assets to. Or if you're in a partnership where you share funds, like how are we going to be spending our assets? It also rules debt. You can think about how you're going to reduce your debt, can be some of the intentions you think about setting. The sun and the moon rules the eyes. They both illuminate things. The sun visually we see, but the moon we see through our intuition. So that's why it's called blink. You can see two partners at a party where they have a signal where blink once when you're okay to have a conversation, or blink twice if you want me to get you out of this conversation or you want to leave the party. You can think about hunters making signals where they maybe use their eye contact. It could also be animals hunting in a pack. They use eye contact to signify what we're going after. Scorpio is a mute sign. All the water signs are mute, so there's no words, but something is communicated. On Saturday, the word of the day is Cyclops. The Cyclops is from Greek mythology. It was a one-eyed monster. I got the vision like of a periscope coming up, like a submarine has a periscope, like seeing through one eye. Do you need to take a step back to see things from a higher view? All these storms have an eye of the storm, but these storms could just be emotional. I'm using the imagery of a physical storm to get you to understand how emotionally people may be feeling inside. So can you give people grace? On this day, Jupiter retrograde is sextile Chiron in Aries. Aries rules the eyes, Chiron wounds. They're both at 20 degrees. That's where I got Cyclops as well. So Jupiter sextile Chiron. This is the second time they're meeting within the last couple of weeks. So can you use this energy? Jupiter is a benefic for some healing of some old wounds. Mercury in Scorpio is trine Mars and Cancer, both at 29. This sort of feels like a storm. Yeah, but it can also be like some really mean, harsh words said between people who are supposed to be family, and it could even spill out into violence. So keep that in mind, that not a great time for conflict, because people can really be hitting below the belt with this energy. Concentrated thought processes can lead to creativity. This week is intense, but you can use all this energy for deeply healing with investigating the shadows of your personality, seeing how others react in certain situations can help you evaluate your own internal processes, your thought processes, your belief systems, your philosophies, all of this kind of thing. This can also be extremely sexy and sexual. Mercury in Scorpio, trine Mars and Cancer can be, let's get it on in the bedroom as well. Yeah. I'll be a pirate could be with the Cyclops imagery, someone dressing up like a pirate and putting the patch over one of their eyes. So that's it for this week's very long episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.